Hi everyone, I have been not dying with schoolwork, luckily. It's trying to survive, which is why I haven't put out content in a while. But I had a tournament recently, and I thought that it would be a really good lesson because I was playing a 1500 rated player, and I'm like, I don't want to lose rating points against this guy, and I was nervous. And psychologically, it just was not a great tournament because I allowed an 1800 to draw with me, even though I was a rook up because I wanted to go explore the area and just out of general nervousness, and I did the same with someone else I shouldn't have. But now I know. Don't offer draws if you're up pieces, in general, just because you think you're gonna mess up. Uh, and okay, so this game is going to be about, as the title says, little weaknesses, which is what I tried to look for and exploit them because I was like, he's not just going to roll over and let me win everything, right? So we went into a scotch. He didn't know the line, I don't think, because he like stopped for a moment with that and then played knight d5. And so I just played c4, even though I didn't really know if queen e7, like, he didn't know queen e7, so I'm like, okay. I didn't really study for this, so I was out of book. And for d5, I just assumed, like, okay, I'm not going to take this because, right, why would I help him undouble his pawns? I just assumed right away from the get-go, I'm like, that's probably going to be the weakness that I'm going to really focus on. So he checked me, and I was like, okay, if you want to help me develop my knight, I don't mind. And maybe he assumed that there would be problems with this rook, but there's a tactic that just, like, stops all of that. Like, I don't even need to play f4. Like, if I play something random like a3 and he tries f6, you guys can find the move. I was seeing queen to h5, and if he tries to stop it, I'm just sacrificing the bishop. And honestly, this just did not look good to me because this pawn is just already, I'm threatening a checkmate here. Does not look good. So I wasn't worried about any sort of pins here. I was just playing f4 because I thought my attack might come on this side later once I move this queen over. Maybe play rook c1. These were sort of my ideas. So he took. I took back with the knight. I don't want to take right away back with the bishop. And then he played bishop a6. And here I thought for a really long time, that was probably like one of my longest thinks of the game. I was thinking about rook d1, if there are any tricks with the queen. Right, and it looks like I'm just losing a piece, but I'm not. And if he takes here, right, then, sorry, my bad, I was looking for a moment, I thought I missed something. Yeah, so I just assumed, okay, whatever, he just has to move his queen back. I just wanted everything off the board so I could deal with the doubled pawns. It's probably not the super best strategy, but I was like, I don't want to spend forever calculating what was okay. Because I also noticed, like, there were a few other ideas. I was considering, like, seeing if I could play queen h5 after defending this bishop. And it just doesn't work out. I don't have enough pieces to just attack after sacrificing that knight. So I just played queen e4, and I was like, okay, if he trades with me, I don't mind. Whatever. He played queen d5. And I should have just played rook a to c1 here. I was kind of moving instantly because I was already like, okay, this has to be good, right? It doubled pawns that I'm going to pressure. He doesn't have any counterplay with this, right? Everything's kind of locked out. He has to take a second to move here, and even then I'm going to push b3. Okay, so really bad move. It's not, like, terrible, but just ignore it. Queen a4 is not the best move. Here, you should have played f6 and just started breaking apart the pawns. What, right? Okay, queen b5. He really wanted to trade, and he's like really hoping that I'm going to take and put these pawns back. He really seemed to be panicking about that a little bit, which is understandable. And then he played rook e6, which is just really bad because now this rook can't move here or here. At least before it could come to this line, maybe double up, have some counterplay, but here there's just nothing. So after queen c2, right, I was just expecting something like rook a to d8, like something normal. And then I'm like, okay, whatever, I'll play a4, maybe see if I can try to just put a lot of pressure on this pawn. Right. And let's say he moves back and checks me. Okay, no problem. I'll just move away and I have to be careful. Like, it's still a game. It's not like the easiest game ever, but, he could have had counterplay. But he was already starting to worry about this pawn. He knew that this was a weakness, and he was really trying his best to protect it instead of just, like, you know, trying to get into the game, trying to cause me problems. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll move this rook to the center, right? And after queen b4, queen d2. So I can't, this isn't really a threat because he can just play rook e8 at any time. But either way, I was just hoping that he would trade with me, and he did. And then he moves his king to f8, and I was like, okay, whatever, I'm developing already. Rook c2 is coming. But he played rook b8, and I was kind of expecting, I guess, f6 to come along and for these pawns to get a little bit broken apart, you know, and I would have to take, but it's still fine for me. But at least here his rook is open, right? It has stuff to look at. So I just played rook c5 here, right? He's not really attacking anything. I don't have any problems. So I was like, okay, maybe I can, like, have chances to go for this pawn. And he was worried about that, so he plays rook b5, and I'm like, okay, whatever. Doubling up. I'm happy with that. And then he played a6, which, in my opinion, just kind of wastes a move. I don't know. Maybe he didn't know what to do, but once again, I was just thinking, like, try doing something with these pawns. Open this rook up. Let him breathe, you know? Huh. Is my camera crooked? No? Okay. So, b3. I'm just gonna, right, so my rook can move around. I'm just gonna push this pawn up. And then he went back right away. He's trying to defend this pawn, which I'm like, okay, both your rooks are dead. Mine are clearly more active, so I just was like, okay, whatever. My king's gonna come up here. I'm gonna push these pawns up. My majority attack, right? Three versus 4, up the board. And then he played f5, and I didn't really have any strong desire to take that with the fianchetto, right? Once again, that opens up the rook. So I just brought my king up the board, and he brought his king, but his king is kind of worse than mine. It's being kept out, and I'm the one that's going to kind of come up the board. So he played h5. Okay, I don't know what this does. I just thought he should possibly, like, either give up that pawn, right, or at least move the rook somewhere. But it's a hard position, h5, h3. The game ended, like, pretty soon after g6. Because here I saw a way to, actually I just gave it away, but I just saw a way to win this pawn, and that's to play rook to g2. And if he just plays something like he did, king d7, ignoring this, I take, and he doesn't have any way to defend this pawn. And this pawn is also falling. And there's no counterplay here, no worries. And he resigned around here. Because I'm just pushing these pawns up the board, my king is coming up, he's losing this pawn, and I'm just going to trade everything into a winning endgame. Yeah, so basically, right, the weakness that I found right from the beginning, I was looking at these doubled pawns. And I could have kept all of the pieces on the board, and I could have had a really, like, also a good game in the middle there. But instead, I just decided, okay, doubled pawns are enough, maybe I can really press on them. And in this case, it worked, right? So also, don't be nervous, guys, when you're playing lower rated opponents, right? Just try to play like you would against someone that's higher or, you know, your rating. Don't underestimate them. I've definitely done that one too many times and lost stupidly, right? So, yeah. I've also been streaming and trying to do other things. So, yeah, check that out. Thank you.